I leave you to welcome the first guest on this
Thank you,
forum.
Mark.
Enjoy it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in this momentous event, we will delve into the synergies between the vision of peace and sport and the sport-centric objectives of the Saudi Vision 2030 by leveraging the shared values of diversity, inclusivity, and social development. Please join me in welcoming the moderator of our first panel discussion for today, JP, that's what she's known of, Jan Patterson, Managing Director, Sport Neom, and her esteemed panelists. Welcome, JP. And a warm welcome to His Highness Prince Fahd bin Jaloui bin Abdelaziz bin Msaad, Vice President of the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and Adwa bint Abdurrahman Al-Araifi, Assistant Minister of Sport Affairs and Board Member of the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And Jerry Anzarello, CEO of Diriyah, well known of there's only one Diriyah. Only one. Welcome all to you, JP.
Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, good morning. Firstly, please let me thank Peace and Sport and the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee for convening this unique opportunity to showcase the extraordinary growth of sport within the kingdom, aligning and supporting the overarching aims of peace in sport, to use sport as a tool for personal peace. This promises to be an insightful session, and we are privileged to have such an esteemed panel. We're focusing on a single vision, a national vision, Vision 2030, a vision that has transcended and transformed an entire society. And in this instance, we focus on sport, a key pillar of that vision. Throughout history, sport has been a dynamic force. It has proven itself as a tool for positive social change, for something that drives progress, something that drives economic growth, inclusion, education, a fundamental building block of health and well-being, tourism, and so much more. And building on that historical foundation, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is using sport in its broadest sense, from grassroots to high performance, from its athletes through to hosting major events, to inspire a young, dynamic nation. To inspire a young, dynamic nation to view life in a different way. To unite communities, to shape lifestyle, to initiate dialogue and understanding, and most importantly, to drive a sustainable economy to ensure that there is a long-lived legacy of this. Thank you very much for joining me on the panel. It is a privilege to be joined with the three of you, and I look forward to hearing your insights, understanding your visions and aspirations, learning from your challenges, and celebrating your success. Before we begin, there is a saying that a picture paints 1,000 words. Let us enjoy the progress to date with a video. if that hasn't got the hairs on the back of your necks, I don't know what will. I don't know another country in the world that would be as dynamic to have those metrics publicly shared with a forum such as this. Huge congratulations. Your Highness, may I start with you? I wonder if you might please, would all the speakers use their microphones? Thank you. Please, could you shed a little bit of light on how Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 positions sport as a tool for societal change?
First, I would like to give my gratitude to our leaders, the custodian of the two holy mosques and His Royal Highness of this great vision for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and specifically sport under the supervision of our leader in sport, Prince Abdulaziz. I can simply say in 3 words, dreams come true in the sport. As everyone knows now, sports is one of the main enablers in the kingdom for all the different sectors, in the health sector, in the tourism, entertainment, and most of the sectors in Saudi. So with thanks to this vision now, we became one of the main global destination of hosting such big events in sports and multi-games events, as multi-sports games. I can say most of the Asian games in different areas, we are hosting it. Tomorrow we are having the first big event. We are hosting the World Combat Games and many to come. And of course the Formula One and the many different individual sports event. So we believe that the vision makes Saudi one of the main destinations of sports in the world.
Thank you very much. It's interesting, we've known each other a long time, and you can see the passion with which you hold what this means and how much Vision 2030 has driven it forward. It's a very personal journey for all of my Saudi colleagues and friends. And Adwa, from a personal view, what does peace and sport mean to you? How has it changed the values and perceptions within society?
Thank you, JP. First, allow me to thank Peace and Sport for organizing this event here today and to welcome you all to our beloved country, Saudi Arabia. Allow me to link peace for sport with Vision 2030. And maybe I would start with a personal story that I share alongside with hundreds of other girls within Saudi. So sports is my passion since I was a young girl, but with limited opportunities back then. However, we've created a small community to share that passion together, but with limited access. Fast forward, 2016, Vision 2030 happened, and with the support and enablement of our leadership, opportunities arised across different sectors. So what we had as young girls back then in that small community, sooner than later, it became a reality. And we're today living our dreams. Doors are open, sports is accessible for all, and we're living our dreams. And those girls that were part of that community back then are today part of the sports sector. And they started creating more and more communities and connecting through the love of sports. So this is what Vision 2030 means to us. It's the opportunity is there, the support of the leadership and enablement is there, and through our jobs, we are here today to serve our people through the love of sports. So this is what Vision 2030 is for us. And just to conclude, allow me to say how proud I am today to be part of the Ministry of Sport and the Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee and Paralympic Committee, alongside my colleagues who are attending here today. It's a proud moment for us all, and we're all very lucky to be under the leadership of our Minister, His Royal Highness, Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Faisal.
You're here. Adwa, thank you. As a woman in sport, who's a great deal older than you are, sadly, it is a true privilege to watch seismic historical change for women in sport in front of our eyes. And those data points that we've just seen are not only admirable, they're quite outstanding. But you continue to be an inspiration, as do many of the other women who hold such senior positions within sport across the kingdom. It's just the beginning. I'll feel it because the mic wasn't on. Jerry, you hold a wonderful position to be Chief Executive of Diriyah, the jewel in the crown, extraordinary infrastructure project. How have you used sport to drive that?
Thank you very much, Shukran. Let me start by saying thank you for the amazing job you're doing at NEOM.
Thank you.
NEOM, the bright future for the kingdom. I have the great honor to be involved every day with the birthplace of the kingdom, the source of Saudi identity, the source of Saudi pride. So before I talk a little bit about Dedeya and sport and peace, which is critical to our DNA, I would like to also pay my respects to our beloved custodian of the two holy mosques. If it wasn't for King Salman, we would not have today. We would not have Dedeya. And the dynamic vision of our amazing Crown Prince in his leadership for Vision 2030 and allowing a Vision 2030 project to already be welcoming people. We've already welcomed over 1 million people to the UNESCO site. So for someone who's been in tourism for 50 years, to sit in the presence of one of my heroes, which is His Serene Highness Prince Albert, and his great leadership and his great compassion and big heart over so many years, and especially with His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz and Prince Fahad, these are heroes of mine. Like when I grow up, I want to be Adwa. You know, she's one of my heroes. But to answer that specifically, Dedeya, the Crown Prince feels very strongly that if you're going to be optimistic for your future, you have to understand your roots, because your roots are such a source of pride and national identity. But since the kingdom is widened in Vision 2030, sport, you see how proud all the young people are. You know, when we had the amazing opportunity to beat the Argentines in the great job that our friends in Qatar did, I mean, was there anybody in a house, anybody in an office? Everybody was out on the streets rejoicing. You know, His Majesty made it a national holiday the next day. This is something to rejoice and be happy with. And physical fitness and sport are a direct contributor to self-esteem. Self-esteem is a direct contributor to my future is good, it's prosperous. So this initiative of peace and sport, I don't think of anything more noble, maybe with the tie for first place, that you have to protect your rich culture and heritage, which the kingdom has, especially for Dedeya, which is 300 years old. So we see ourselves as the rich past and present, and we're all so optimistic about NEOM, which is such a
Inshallah.
brilliant future. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much. I have the, I think, privilege to have insight into the workings of the SOPC. They are my family, that's for sure. I wonder, Prince Fahad, could you share a little bit of the incentives and the programs that are driven by sport and peace and sport in the kingdom, by SOP?
Of course. First of all, I'm for sure you are a family with the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Of course, the Vision 2030 has a huge impact within the sports sector, and especially for us in the Olympic and Paralympic and the national federations. Actually, I can say since the Vision started, we had 32 federations. Now we are having 97 federations serving all type of sports and all type of people in sports. And of course, the women empowerment in sports is coming. Growing fastly. I can say 30% of the people working within the Olympic family are women, and of course there is a lot of female leaders, as you know, in the women's sport. Even the inclusion of the people with disabilities within sport is getting better and better. We have, of course, taking care of the para-athletes, our para-sports, the deaf sports, and the Special Olympics, and the number is growing very fastly, alhamdulillah. And even the federations of the people with disabilities are growing as well. We had only 3, the Para-Olympic Committee and the Deaf Federation and Special Olympics. Now we're having more than 16 federations are already taking full responsibilities of the people with disabilities, plus 7 federations are dedicated for some kind of sports for people with disabilities. So this is very important. And of course, what we can see that the jump of active people in Saudi from 2015, which was 13% to 48% in 2022. So we believe that the vision has a huge impact in our society within the sports.
Thank you. It is incredible. And you have little gems of milestones, the Saudi Games, the Federation Transformation Program. And yesterday I heard that Saudi Arabia will send a Special Olympics winter team to Milano for the Special Olympics next in 2025 with 20 athletes across 5 sports.
We have a great leader. He's supporting us in our all kind of sports. So of course we will be challenging everywhere.
I'm very pleased to say it was winter sport, Your Royal Highness. Long may it continue to 2029. Alba, please could you share a little bit around that? We've just heard there's an extraordinary growth. How is that initiated by the Ministry of Sport across all demographics in society?
So, as you know, we have the National Sports Strategy, which has 3 main strategic pillars. So the first is mass participation, the second is amateur to elite, and the third is elite athletes. If we look into mass participation, and as Prince Fahad mentioned, we had a baseline before Vision 2030 back in 2015, which was the baseline was only 13% of the Saudi society is physically active. And we're proud to say that we've exceeded the expectations and we've achieved 48% last year. And our target was 40% by 2030. So that shows that the strategy we have and the efforts through the initiatives and the programs are leading to those targets and exceeding those expectations. And also, in addition to that, having the mass participation and encouraging people to be physically active, that also led into the life expectation average within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, within Saudis. So before Vision 2030, life expectation within Saudi, it was between, on average, it was 74 years old, and that increased by 4 years. So after Vision 2030 and after the programs that are happening today, the average life today is around 78 years old. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, so that shows the quality of life, the different initiatives within Vision 2030 and within the National Sports Strategy.
Thank you very much. That's extraordinary. To increase life by 4 years is a dramatic metric. And in fact, we have the next panel who has someone from Quality of Life on it, so I'm sure she'll share more. Jerry, I'm conscious of time. This is my last question. Duriya, how have you used sport? What have the initiatives been to drive the growth of sport in Saudi and in the region under your leadership? I know there have been some incredible events held, and I've been privileged to be there, but you have a very broad aspect of sport and have it as a fantastic tool to initiate that growth. How have you done it?
Sport is absolutely critical to us, but I have to give the credit overwhelmingly to His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz, because we're getting ready now, January, to run our 6th Formula E already. It's almost hard to believe. But with the Formula E, with the great boxing, with the great tennis, but the more important thing is that by December 31st of this year, we will have finished 9 kilometers of parks. So in our community of Diriyah, on any given day, we have several thousand people outdoors, to what Adwa said. So for us, sport is very important. We participate in most of those sport academies. Thanks to the Crown Prince and thanks to His Royal Highness, we bought our Diriyah football team. I have to look at my friend Didier to help me get them up to the next level.
We might steal him for the neon one, please.
That's okay. He's a treasure, a global treasure, so we can all take advantage of that. But every single day now, having people outside, having people with sport. But even our Diriyah season now, we have over 40 sporting events. So it not only is a source of pride and fitness and self-esteem for our community of Diriyah, but now we're finding that people from all over the kingdom are coming to Diriyah because of these events, cultural and sport. And now we're finding that people are coming from all over the world. So with Diriyah season, for the Formula E, we expect 100,000 people from that. You know, we have the boxing now in Riyadh on the 28th, But with today's season, we have over 40 sport events. So it's critical to not just enjoyment and commerce, but what it means to all the young people to participate in these sports.
Jerry, thank you very much. I promised you it would be insightful. I think the better word would have been inspirational. Those proof points speak for themselves, and I thank all three of you for joining me on the stage. Could I ask you to remain for one moment? We now move from strategy and governance of Vision 2030 into the implementation side of things, and we'll welcome the second panel. But may I thank all three of you? Could I ask you to leave the mics on your seat? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me welcome to the stage the second moderator of our second session, the Executive Director of Marketing Communications, Abdulaziz Al-Bagous from the Saudi Olympic Committee. And please may I welcome his panelists. The first is Noura Al-Yousef, who is Senior Advisor for International Cooperation for the Quality of Life. Barry Bremner, the Executive Director of Sport Strategy for Giga. And finally, Turki Ben Auda, who is, excuse me, I beg your pardon, the Head of Sector for Sport for RCRC.
Your Royal Highness, Your Serene Highness, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly an honor to be part of this prestigious event, and it's a greater honor to be speaking after the previous session where His Highness Prince Fahad, Mr. Adwal Arifi, Mr. Jan Peterson, and Mr. Jerry, they talked about the strategic approach of Vision 2030, the hopes, the ambitions. And in this session, we'll be talking more about the practical aspect of Vision 2030, the entities who are realizing the objectives. I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleagues, Mr. Barry Bremner, Giga Executive Director, Sports Strategy, Ms. Noura Al-Yousef, Senior Advisor of International Cooperation at the Quality of Life Program, and Mr. Turki Ben Auda, General Manager of Sports Sector and Development of RCRC. I'll start with Mr. Barry from Giga. Mr. Barry, Giga has been a major project in the sports and entertainment sector. How does Giga, as an entity, as a futurist project, contribute to the objectives of Vision 2030?
Thanks, Abdulaziz. Like many of the other Giga projects, if you look at NEOM, you look at Red Sea, you look at Diriyah, Giga is one of those pivotal Giga projects within Saudi. And Giga, along with the other government entities we work with, are there to deliver the objectives of Vision 2030. And that's around having a vibrant society, creating a very stable economy, and actually an ambitious country. That's what Vision 2030 is all about. So Giga, effectively, we are a destination city. We sit 40 kilometers just outside the central Riyadh. We span some 376 kilometers, and we've got 25 core districts within Giga. Now, all of that, in terms of what our portfolio looks like, that really helps elevate Saudi as being a top tourist destination globally. It will elevate Riyadh as a top 10 living city in the world. And also in terms of the diversification of the economy, that's something we're making a major contribution to. So Giga have three core pillars which we are based upon. So we've got entertainment, we've got sport, and then we've got culture. Underpinning those, we've got hospitality, residential, commercial, very like Diriyah and NEOM. So within the core components, we've actually got 78 what we call core assets. Within sport, we've got 27 assets. And I know you'll ask me about the Asian Games at some point. But effectively, those core assets are really focused around three principles that underpin Vision 2030. We've heard already about community participation. So our baseline is, how do we make the community active and participate actively within sport? Now, whilst there are ambitions set within Vision 2030, Giga are looking to become a top 10 active city globally. which is no mean feat. We're also there to put in the infrastructure and venues for pathway and elite athletes, so Saudi can compete at the highest levels of international sport globally. And I suppose the final pillar that we've got within sports is around the event strategy. So we see events as being a medium, basically, to encourage participation. But it's not just that, it's to demonstrate the ability of the kingdom globally, and also to, I suppose, garner business relations elsewhere globally. Once again, we don't sit sport in isolation. I think the beauty about working in Saudi is the integration we've got with RCRC, Sport for All, but we will also have education establishments, we'll have health establishments. We will create pathways, dual pathways for athletes, and we'll create new careers for people who actually want to get into sport, which is a total new industry within Saudi. So that's some of what we're doing.
Since you mentioned it, Barry, and I know everyone in Asia is very excited, give us a glimpse about how Qiddiya envisions the Asian Games.
So we will be a component part. Obviously, the city and the country will participate. So NEOM will do the open water sports. It's not something we can do. Daria will take part around equestrian. But we've been asked to develop assets now to allow us to host the majority of the Asian Games within Qiddiya. That's part of our legacy. And what we've done is, rather than build Olympic campuses, we've actually embedded the sports infrastructure within our community. We've also been asked to size our venues. If the day may come when we could host an Olympics, then we actually are ready to host an Olympics at the right time.
Interesting, and we'll be looking forward for the very near future to enjoy that in Qiddiya. Ms. Noor Al Yusuf, quality of life. We know that quality of life is more of a DNA that is embedded within the sporting sector. Can you give us an idea about the contributions of this program under Vision 2030 in the sport and let's say the well-being sector?
Thank you very much, and I'd like to start with thanking Your Excellencies for allowing us to participate in this very important inaugural event. At the Quality of Life program, it really is a DNA. We look at the concept of quality of life from a holistic perspective. You have livability and you have lifestyle. And so the program really, its main aim is to provide more options in both. And I'd just like to share a personal story. When I was a young girl growing up in the kingdom, I was obsessed with horses. I wanted to be a jockey. My options were limited. I was lucky enough, though, to be part of a family that had the right mindset and had the means to make it happen for me today. Fast forward with Vision 2030, I have a reverse challenge with my daughter. I have so many options. She wants to do horse riding, swimming, soccer, basketball. I can't keep up. So really, the DNA of quality of life is about providing more options, not just in sports, culture, entertainment, recreation, you name it, right? And so that's really the core of what we try to do at the program. We work with multiple government stakeholders, we work with the private sector, we work with the nonprofit sector. And so it's a collective effort where we all really bring this DNA and embody this DNA in everything that we do. Amazing,
amazing. And being part of the sporting sector, we can sense the impact that this program is creating within the sector and beyond. Mr. Turki bin Ouda, the city of Riyadh is one of the most ambitious cities globally, I would say. How can sport have a city-wide impact when it comes to the strategy of RCRC?
Maybe first of all, I would like to thank the Peace and Sport for that great forum and His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki for his continued support to the sport sector. So there has been a major stride taken on the sports at a national level. And how does this cascade to a regional and a city level? And today Riyadh is the capital. Today Riyadh is uniquely positioned to harness the power of sport. If we just look into the numbers, the population of Riyadh is a growing population with a young demographic. We have more than 60% under the age of 35 years old. The participation level has been tripled since 2017. Unprecedented growth in the events pipeline, and in specific the Tier A events or the global events, up to 300%. There is already a commitment of infrastructure development in the city of Riyadh valued at more than 80 billion SAR. And of course, the national football transportation, and this is again cascaded to a city level. So I think this is a part of a wider dimensions that make Riyadh today a really playing a big role in that transformation. And on the next few years, for sure, taking into account these mega projects that will be developed, the commitments on hosting global events will also further increase the numbers.
We're most certainly witnessing nowadays the transformation in the city of Riyadh, and we're sure that the future will see much bigger things happening in this amazing city. We'll be back to Mr. Bari. When it comes to high performance and grassroots, what is the role of Qiddiya as a project and as a city in that area?
So we very much see Qiddiya as being the gold standard of sports cities globally. We have very specific targets around developing elite athletes, and we've got very specific targets about our community's health and welfare. We've worked very closely under the guidance of His Royal Highness. We've worked with the Ministry of Sport, Saudi Olympic Committee, to identify the venues and resources required to actually meet those targets. So, you know, His Royal Highness approved every one of my 27 assets. And what we're doing is, we've got real focus from a sports perspective on those areas. And when we start working with things like Mahad Academy as an example, so they, if you don't know, Mahad Academy are the youth elite academy for Saudi. We're working with them on forming their sort of core developmental centre, which is not just based on sport, it's education as well. So we've got a boarding school focused on sport. But I guess one of our challenges there is that people now consume sport and participate in sport in a very different way. So one of the things we've been looking at is how do we not just create traditional pathways, but how do we create alternative pathways into sport at both a community and an elite level? So if I take golf for an example, you know, it's quite an elitist sport. I've been playing it for 45 years now, and I'm still rubbish at it. So, you know, there's some real barriers there. So what we've done is, yes, we'll have a traditional academy, but we're also looking at new pathways with typologies of golf. So if you look at foot golf, if you look at frisbee golf, if you look at adventure golf, we're looking to develop those as pathways into the sport. There's no reason why you cannot be a foot golf champion within Saudi. And you may never ever go on a golf course. So what we hope is out of those types of pathways will fall out people that are interested in the professional level of sport at an Olympic level. So, and we're taking that approach to all of the sports we're actually developing within Qiddiya.
Amazing. Back to quality of life program, Ms. Noura. Let's talk about the relationship between public, private sector with the program. How do you envision quality of life program into that spectrum?
Thank you. So as Barry mentioned about the Mahad Academy, that was a quality of life project. So where we focus is on what are the key enablers that we need to put in place in our ecosystem to allow the sector to thrive. And clearly that is not a single person or entity's job. So again, collaboration, working with our various stakeholders is key. We anticipate by the end of 2023 that we would have issued more than 2,500 licenses to operate some form of sporting facility, center, academy. All of these centers are really important because it fosters and it helps build the sector throughout the kingdom. And so as such, when we look at any strategic initiative, we always look at who are the partners that we need to bring on board, what is the long-term sustainability of the initiative, who's going to operate it? How is it going to live on beyond our job or beyond our small time within that initiative? And so that's really at the core of how we structure everything within the center. I'd like to just highlight that we have over 120 initiatives running across sector, many of them within sports and wellness. So these are considerations, as we said, as part of our DNA within every single one of these initiatives.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a huge number when it comes to sport, entertainment, culture across different and multiple entities in Saudi.
This is why we struggle with choice now. Now there's too much to do.
I'll move on to Mr. Turkey. What role do you foresee the Royal Commission for Riyadh City playing in the transformation of sport in the city?
Yeah, so maybe just to give a background of the Royal Commission mandate, since it has been established nearly 5 decades ago, mainly it was the entity looking over the urban growth and expansion of the city of Riyadh. In 2019, that mandate has been expanded to work closely in 35 sectors in partnership with key stakeholders in the city of Riyadh. And sport today is one of these sectors. And this platform enabled us as a sports sector at the Royal Commission to look into sport from a 360 view. So today, for example, we are working in developing a detailed sports strategy for the city of Riyadh, which speaks to the national sports strategy and covering all the projects and initiatives with other stakeholders when it comes, not only the sports, when it comes, for example, with transportation, mobility, enhancing micro-mobility aspects. So this great platform enabled us really to work closely also with mega projects such as Qiddiya, Sports Boulevard, King Salman Park, make sure these offerings meeting the supply and demand analysis for the cities, covering the people demand, the future demand as well. So we are working closely with the key stakeholders, Ministry of Sport, Olympic Committee, its federations, Riyadh mega projects, and other relevant stakeholders.
Alignment to the maximum level between all entities when it comes to realizing these objectives. Mr. Barry, I'll go to facilities and whatever Qiddiya is going to offer to multiple communities. But I can't help but looking at Didier Drogba, who's here home. When are you inviting Didier Drogba to score the first goal in Qiddiya?
Depends if he wants to play on grass or sand.
He still have it. Didier still have it.
As I say, are you asking me about my program, which I can't actually talk about right now? I mean, Qiddiya is well underway, so Six Flags, the water park. If you go out there now, you'll see they're actually putting the flumes in. With our golf course, we've actually got grass in the ground. We've built our lagoons. But we're trying very, very hard to provide the facilities that the people of Riyadh and KSA require to actually start developing their talent.
Amazing.
And I'd say that we're trying to put a bit more thought. We're doing a lot of research and development at the moment. So from a community perspective, how do we stimulate the community? And we're looking at how do you use concepts like competitive socializing. So how do you use that to activate the community? So we're looking at developing apps with watches. So you get Qiddiya points. So basically, for every mile you walk, you get Qiddiya points. You can then trade them in for rides in the parks and things. So we're actually doing a lot of research and development at the moment that we will implement actually when these facilities open.
Amazing. We have 2 minutes to wrap up, so have lots of questions to ask. However, let's leave the last question to opportunities. I mean, some of us would say challenges, some of us would say opportunities. You name it. You want to call it challenges or opportunities? Let me start with Ms. Noura. What are the opportunities that we envision or foresee for the Quality of Life program when it comes to sporting sector and beyond?
It's such a broad question, so I'm going to have to answer it in a very narrow way. I think one of the key things that we like to look at is what are the youth doing today? And what are they going to need in the future? And for me, as a mother of a 12-year-old, youth starts much earlier than the international age range that they have out there. We need to start younger. We need to look at what they need. We need to offer the platforms and the levers and the opportunities for them to thrive, because this will be their city in the future. And so at the program, this is something that we're very much looking into, and how do we plan for that and kind of pivot for that. Jerry, with your team in Dar'iyya, one of your KPIs was how many kids do we see in the streets, right? Because a sign of a healthy community is when children are outdoors playing in a safe ecosystem. The whole neighborhood comes together, right? And this is what we want to see. We want to see thriving communities and thriving neighborhoods. And sports and well-being is at the core of that DNA.
Mr. Turkey, amazing opportunities are awaiting the city of Riyadh.
Yeah, there are many, Abdulaziz, but maybe I will highlight one. And as Noor mentioned about the youth participation, Green Riyadh program today, it's one of the Riyadh mega projects. It's covering more than 120 neighborhoods in the city of Riyadh. In order to increase the physical activity of adults and youth, we are going to develop more than 3,000 neighborhood parks which have sports infrastructure on the heart of it. This will enable the community to be active from the places where they live, and this is a great opportunity for the city of Riyadh for sure.
Barry, closing point, other than the opportunity of inviting Didier, pending invitation.
I guess the biggest opportunity is the leadership of this country's support for sport. It is one of the key priorities within Saudi. We also have the opportunity, where you look at UK or other established sports sectors, the integration that we can have here. I mean, we speak on a regular basis. You just would not get that in other countries. And we have the ability to learn from other countries, which have sport as part of their national agenda. And we also have the opportunity to partner with people that can actually bring things that are actually very unique to Saudi.
Great. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. It was amazing to hear from all of you, distinguished guests. Thanks a lot, Your Serene Highness, Your Royal Highness, distinguished guests. With that, we close the second session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdulaziz and JP, all the esteemed panelists, for a great session, showcasing, demonstrating how sport is actually placed at the core of the Saudi Vision 2030.